Hello everyone, welcome back to Fight Tonight channel. Friends, before starting to watch this video, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for supporting me, guys. Former world champion in 2-weight Shakur Stevenson plans to fight for the WBC title in the 3rd weight lightweight in November 16 in Las Vegas. The 26-year-old American Shakur Stevenson was a mandatory contender for the WBC lightweight title and sought a fight for the title against the absolute world champion Devin Haney, but he decided to rise to the first welterweight for a fight with the WBC champion in his weight, Regis Progreis. We will see what the WBC decides. Stevenson's sub-promoter Bob Arum said in an interview about the boxer's rival in the fight for the vacant title. They will have to go from top to bottom in the rating and find someone who has the opportunity to fight. After Haney's decision to move up to the next weight, the WBC granted him the status of champion on vacation, giving him the opportunity to immediately fight for the title in the event of a return to lightweight. We believe he will return to the ring in early 2024, Arum said. He is very high in the ratings of all the leading federations, and he will fight for the world title, just not against Shakur Stevenson, who will enter the ring at the end of this year. Gervonta's trainer warned that Kambosos would not last many rounds. Once George Kambosos Jr. took off his gloves following his second defeat to Devin Haney, he seriously contemplated whether or not he ever wanted to put them back on. Those consecutive losses came at the expense of his WBO, WBA, IBF and WBC franchise lightweight titles, an achievement he worked his entire life for. Did the Australian native truly want to work his way back from the ground up? That process seemed exhausting. But after recharging his batteries and finding that spark, the 30-year-old came to the conclusion that he still had plenty left to give. In his first fight back, Kambosos took on woman he considered to be a relatively soft touch in Maxi Huggies. But while the former IBO champ was expected to come over stateside, collect a check and leave his belt at the door, he gave Kambosos all he could handle. Although the confident Australian picked up the win, it was of the controversial variety. Regardless of how he ultimately got it done, Kambosos now has his eyes set on bigger and better things. The lightweight division has a long list of popular and dangerous fighters. The perfect scenario for the Azure, however, would be an immediate showdown against Gervonta. With just over half of the year remaining, Davis has scored 2 knockout wins, once against Hector Garcia and the other coming against Ryan Garcia. News of Kambosos placing Davis on his hit list was somewhat surprising to Calvin Ford, Davis' current head trainer. Although it's unlikely that they face off, Kambosos should consider himself lucky. From Ford's point of view, Kambosos would be absolutely annihilated at the hands of his pound-for-pound star. Not even two, Ford said. Not even two. Amid fight call-out, Terence Crawford discredits Gervonta's championship status. As the 2-division undisputed champion, Terence Crawford has the world in front of him to pick and choose. At the T-Mobile Arena, he taunted Jermell Charlo that he would be the next. Within the division, Jaron Ennis stands out above the rest. He could also go back to the rematch with Errol Spence Jr. However, amidst these conversations, a shot that has caught the crowd's imagination is a potential line-up against the thunderous Gervonta. But if his words in the last interview are to be believed, Crawford doesn't seem to hold the Baltimorean in high esteem. Tank Davis finally tested the free air on July 14 after spending 44 days in a Baltimore jail, arguably the most prominent face of boxing. He demolished the match-fancied Ryan Garcia at the T-Mobile Arena 4 months ago. Understandably, given his kind of record, 29 victories, no loss, and a staggering 93% knockout-to-win rate, Davis is a natural barometer for another champion. Intent on charting a new course or consolidating his legacy, where does that put Terence Crawford in the equation?
Instead, the question should be whether he is keen to be part of that league. So soon after checking Terence Crawford's walking weight, which is 147, Rashad Bilal from Earn Your Liskure asked, "But the biggest fight that I think that could be made is Tank Davis on a catchweight situation. I think he said that he felt confident, that he would win that fight. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the fight? Is it possible? Is it even possible?"
Naoya Inoue's promoter breaks silence on calls for Gervonta Davis catchweight fight. Following Naoya Inoue's success in a fourth weight class, some in the sport have suggested he jump up even further for the ultimate test against hard-hitting Gervonta Davis. Whilst plenty of fans wave off the contest as unrealistic, leading names in boxing including Showtime's Steven Espinoza and Floyd Mayweather have identified it as a possibility for the future. For it to happen, Japanese Inoue would have to jump up a further 3 weight classes. It's something his promoter Bob Arum believes may be a step too far. Speaking to a Little Giant Boxing, Arum brought the fantasy matchup back to ground level. I mean, it's wonderful, but at this particular point, it's 142-pound guy against a 140-pound guy. Inoue is great with guys his own size or guys a little bigger, but at some particular point the size really matters. That's why they have these classifications for. There is no telling what a visual the monster, who is now 30 years old, can touch before reaching his ceiling, but a strength jump to 135 pounds for a tank or even a catch weight would be a path not many would advise him to go down. In the meantime, he plans to continue to add to an already excellent legacy. Arum confirmed that Inoue would unify his 2 belts with the man of Marlon Tapales next, crowning an undisputed super bantamweight champion. You just look at Inoue and you realize what a great fighter he is, plus a tremendous puncher, so we're gonna have fun with him. I guess his next fight is gonna be against the Filipino Tapales, who has 2 titles. As for Tank Davis, there is a chance he gets into the ring towards the end of the year after a brief prison stint that followed with his career best victory over Ryan Garcia. Sabriel Matias, Devin Haney, I want to fight you. Becoming a world champion seemed like a far-fetched idea for Sabriel Matias, not because he wasn't talented enough, but simply because the world titles at 130 pounds were all tied up. Josh Taylor was the man to beat at one point. He pilfered every championship ranked in the division and didn't appear interested in letting them go. Things, however, have changed. Taylor's tunnel vision in a rematch against Jack Catterall forced him to let go of 3 of his titles. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.